This is Dr. Rosenberger with Appalachian Spring Dermatology, and I'm here at our Spring Boutique to talk to you a little bit about SPF, or Sun Protection Factor. What SPF should I get? That's the most common question people ask me when they ask me about sunscreen. So let's talk about what that means and what SPF you should get. So SPF is actually related only to UVB rays. So when you look at sun exposure, generally there are a few different types of rays we need to be concerned about. UVA, UVB, and then also infrared radiation is a new thing we're starting to talk about. So infrared is what allows you to feel the heat from the sun. And then newer to protecting against light, we're also now looking at HEV. So that's the light that generally comes from screens, including your TV and your phone and your computer. But when we talk about SPF, it only measures UVB. So how do they come up with the number? So SPF is actually the ratio of the number of times that somebody can stay out in the sun and not get sunburned with or without sunscreen. So if a person normally could stay out in the sun for 10 minutes and not get sunburned, an SPF of 30 means that you could stay out 10 minutes times 30, or 300 minutes without getting sunburned. That's what that number means. It's the ratio of the number of times you could stay out. So SPF 5, again, if you normally somebody sunburned in 10 minutes, SPF 5 would mean they could stay out 50 minutes without getting sunburned. Now, for many people, they could get sunburned in 5 minutes. So it's just a ratio. So that makes it a little bit hard. And then again, it only is related to SPF, is only related to UVB. It does not have an accurate measure of protection against UVA or any of the other rays that are in the sun. So what are they looking at when they measure SPF? They're actually looking at reddening of the skin. And how do they test it? So actually people have sunscreen put on, and in the real life testing, they actually put 2 ounces on the whole body. And then the person is to stand and not move, hold perfectly still, and then they measure the ratio. The problem with real life use is that generally people are not going to put 1 to 2 ounces of a sunscreen on their body, meaning people use much less. And nobody holds perfectly still while you're using sunscreen, I guess, unless maybe you're laying in the sun. So there's so many other things to consider. Are we putting it on accurately, and are we putting enough on? And are we wearing it off, just wiping it off? Or if we're in the water, is it water resistant or not? So in addition to SPF, obviously we need to consider the water resistance as well, and are we putting on enough of it? The last thing to think about and consider is the most important, in my opinion. What are the active ingredients? So the problem with the active ingredients is that most of the chemical sunscreens, independent of what the SPF says, are going to wear off and break down in about 2 hours. And if you look at water resistance, most of them are water resistant up to 80 minutes. So it doesn't matter what the SPF is if you're going to have to reapply it every 80 to 120 minutes anyway. So the most important thing is not that magic number that's on the front of the tube. It's really the active ingredients, because the active ingredient is really going to tell you what extent of protection you're going to get. So when faced with a number of sunscreens like we have here at the Spring Boutique, or as you'll see on our article that we published on our website, where I went to Walmart and sort of looked at what sunscreens they had and which ones I would pick, the first thing I did on all of them was not pay attention to the silly little number on the front. The first thing I did is turn it over and read what the active ingredient is. Now I realize it's too hard for you to read here, but this one is zinc oxide. So that's the magic thing that we're looking for. So generally I like the active ingredients to be just zinc or titanium. Zinc is preferable, and none of the chemical sunscreens. That's what an optimal sunscreen is to me. Not what the SPF is. We do want to make sure that it is water resistant if we're going to be in the water, but most importantly, what is the active ingredient? Because that active ingredient is really going to tell you how well you're going to be protected. Why is that? Because there's lots of different chemical sunscreens. That's why generally if you look at at the sunscreen list, if it's chemical sunscreens, there's going to be a number of different chemicals. And the reason why is there's no one chemical that protects against the entire spectrum of UV rays. It's only zinc oxide that covers that entire spectrum, none of the other ones. So again, when you're faced with that big aisle of sunscreens, the question is not what SPF should we choose, it's what is the active ingredient. So I hope this is helpful to you, and we'll look at some more things in future videos. Have a great day.
Call for an appointment today and learn more by going to our website at wvderm.com.